Okay, so today we are tackling something that I think pretty much everyone listening can relate to,
Mhm.
and that is that feeling of brain fog, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Like when your focus is just, it's like slippery, you can't quite grab onto it, and your memory
Right.
feels full of holes.
Oh, it's the
It's
worst.
like trying to think through, I don't know, like mud or something.
Yeah, it's like wading through molasses.
Exactly.
You just feel so sluggish.
It can really, really mess with your day.
It really can. And, it's not just a minor annoyance either.
Right.
It can have like a ripple effect on your whole life.
Yeah.
Your work, your mood, even your relationships.
Oh, absolutely. And that is exactly why we are diving into this article today from Healthy Habits Hub.
Okay.
It's called 7 Daily Habits to Sharpen Your Mind, and it was published on April 5th, 2025.
Right.
And basically what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the actionable stuff, the stuff you can actually use to like fight back against brain fog,
I like it. Yeah.
get rid of it and get that mental clarity back.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of times people think brain fog is just like, oh, this is my life now.
Right.
But this article is saying, no, no, no.
Doesn't have to be.
It's often because of things that we're doing in our everyday lives.
Exactly. Things we can control.
Exactly.
So it's pretty empowering. So the article lays out these 7 key habits, and we are going to go through all of them.
Okay.
Think of it like your mental survival kit,
Love it.
tools for a sharper mind.
Okay.
So we've got sleep, nutrition, exercise, mindfulness, hydration, mental stimulation, and stress management.
Wow, that's a lot, but it sounds doable.
It does. It does. It's all about those kind of like little tweaks, right?
Little tweaks, yeah.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about sleep.
Yes, sleep, the
The
cornerstone,
cornerstone, the
the
foundation.
foundation of a sharp mind.
So, we all know we need to sleep, but like, what's actually going on up there when we're asleep, right?
Right.
What's our brain doing?
It is not just resting. It's not just like turning off.
Right.
It is busy.
Busy doing what?
Consolidating memories from the day,
Right.
processing all that information we took in, like a huge information dump.
Right.
And then, crucially, it's like taking out the trash,
Okay.
getting rid of all those metabolic byproducts, things like beta amyloid.
Which the article mentioned that's linked to like Alzheimer's and dementia, scary stuff.
Exactly. And so when we don't get enough sleep, it's like we're not letting our brain take out the
Okay.
trash.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
And so it just builds up and it leads to that mental fog.
It's like when you don't take the trash out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it's getting a little ripe in here.
It starts to stink.
So if we skimp on sleep, like what happens? What are the downsides?
Well, first off, you just feel it,
Yeah.
You can't focus as well. You're slower. Your decisions might not be the best.
Right.
You're just not as sharp. And of course, the brain fog sets in.
And the article talked about some research, like actual studies on this, right?
Tons of studies have shown this.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation messes with your attention span, your reaction time, your ability to solve problems.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah, even your mood.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you're more likely to be irritable and have those emotional outbursts.
So basically, yeah, lack of sleep, it's like kryptonite to our brains.
Exactly.
So knowing that, let's talk about some things we can do about it. Because it's one thing to say, oh, yeah, I need to get more sleep.
Right.
But like, how do we actually make that happen? What are some actionable takeaways from the article?
So first, they stress the importance of a consistent sleep schedule.
Which is easier said than done sometimes.
I know, but it's so crucial.
Yeah.
Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time every day,
Even on the weekends.
even on the weekends.
Oh, man.
I know it's tough, but it really helps to regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
That makes sense. What else?
Creating a relaxing bedtime routine.
Ah.
Like give yourself at least an hour before bed to wind down.
So this is where like a warm bath or something comes in.
Exactly. A warm bath, reading a physical book,
Not scrolling on your phone.
no screens.
Yeah.
Maybe listen to some calming music, do some gentle stretches, anything to signal to your body that it's time to relax.
I like that. What about the bedroom itself, like the environment?
Yeah, that's key too.
Yeah.
Make sure it's dark, quiet, and cool.
Okay.
And invest in some comfy bedding. Maybe blackout curtains if you need them, or earplugs, whatever helps you create that ideal sleep sanctuary.
And of course, we can't forget about our phones and tablets and all that.
Yeah, the blue light emitted from those screens can really mess with your melatonin production.
Right.
So the article recommends putting those devices away at least an hour or two before bed.
Solid advice. What about food and drinks, like that evening cup of coffee or that glass of wine to unwind?
Yeah, the article says to be mindful of both caffeine and alcohol close to bedtime.
I mean, caffeine's obvious, but why alcohol?
Yeah, so alcohol might initially make you feel drowsy, but it can actually disrupt your sleep cycles later in the night, leading to poorer quality sleep overall.
Oh, interesting. So what about exercise and naps? Do those factor in?
They do. Regular exercise is great for improving sleep quality, but avoid intense workouts too close to bedtime.
Got it.
And then naps, if you're a napper, short power naps, 20, 30 minutes, can be helpful.
Okay.
But avoid those long naps or late afternoon naps.
Yeah, because then you're not tired at bedtime.
Exactly.
And I think this is really important to mention.
Yeah.
The article stressed that if you think you might have a sleep disorder, like insomnia or sleep apnea, definitely talk to your doctor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because those underlying conditions can really sabotage your sleep and contribute to brain fog.
All right, so we've covered a lot on sleep.
We have.
Let's move on to the second habit, which is fueling our brains with the right food. I mean, we all know that what we eat affects how we feel and how we think, but this article really dives into the specifics.
Right. It's not just about feeling good. It's about feeding your brain what it needs to function optimally.
So what are we talking about here? Like, how does food actually impact our brain?
Well, it literally provides the building blocks for brain structure and function.
Okay.
What you eat influences your mood, your memory, your focus, your ability to concentrate.
It's like fuel for our brain.
Exactly.
And it mentioned this thing called the brain-gut connection, which I've been hearing more about lately.
Right. It's this fascinating link between your gut health and your brain health.
So explain that to me.
So basically, you have trillions of bacteria living in your gut. This is called the gut microbiome. And it's constantly communicating with your brain through what's called the gut-brain axis.
Okay.
And when your gut is out of whack, it can lead to inflammation throughout your body, including in your brain, and that can cause brain fog and all sorts of cognitive issues.
So we got to keep those good gut bacteria happy.
Exactly. Happy gut, happy brain.
So let's get to the good stuff. What are some brain-boosting foods we should be eating?
Well, the article starts with fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines.
Oh, those are good for you.
They're packed with omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA, which is crucial for brain cell membranes, like the structure of your brain cells.
Okay.
And then berries, things like blueberries, strawberries, blackberries.
Okay, so delicious and good for you.
They are. And they're full of antioxidants, which protect your brain cells from damage.
Damage from what?
From things like free radicals, which are basically unstable molecules that can cause damage to cells.
Okay, so the berries are like little shields for our brain cells.
Exactly.
What else?
Nuts and seeds, like walnuts, almonds, chia seeds, flax seeds.
So many good things in those.
They're full of healthy fats, protein, fiber, vitamins, minerals, all the good stuff for a healthy brain.
I'm hearing healthy fats a lot. That's kind of a recurring theme here.
It is. Healthy fats are essential for brain health.
Good to know.
And then we have leafy greens like spinach, kale, broccoli.
Those are nutritional powerhouses.
Absolutely. Loaded with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
So we're seeing antioxidants popping up again. Those seem pretty important.
They are. They're like little warriors fighting off damage in our brain.
Okay, so what about carbs? Are we allowed to eat carbs if we want a sharp brain?
Definitely. But choose the right ones.
Okay.
The article recommends whole grains like oats, brown rice, quinoa.
Okay.
They provide a slow and steady release of glucose, which is your brain's primary fuel source, and they're high in fiber, which helps keep you feeling full and satisfied.
So no, like sugar crashes and things like that.
Exactly. Avoid the processed carbs, the sugary stuff, and stick with those complex carbs, the whole grains.
All right, so anything else that's like good brain food?
A few more things. Avocados are a great source of healthy monounsaturated fats, which again are great for brain health.
Okay, love avocados.
And then a little bit of dark chocolate.
Oh, well, now you're talking.
But, in moderation, of course.
Okay.
And make sure it's at least 70% cocoa or higher to reap those antioxidant benefits. And lastly, turmeric, which has anti-inflammatory properties that may be good for the brain as well.
Wow, that is a lot of good stuff. So let's flip the script. What are some things we should be avoiding or at least limiting if we want to fight brain fog?
Well, unfortunately, it's a lot of the usual suspects.
Good.
Processed foods, those are loaded with unhealthy fats, added sugars, and artificial ingredients, all of which can wreak havoc on your brain.
All right, so processed foods are a no-no. What else?
Refined sugars like white sugar, high fructose corn syrup, Those things cause those blood sugar spikes and crashes that can lead to brain fog.
Yeah, makes sense. What about unhealthy fats?
Yeah, too much saturated fat and trans fats can also contribute to inflammation and hinder blood flow to the brain.
Okay, so we're keeping an eye on those.
Exactly. And then caffeine, a little bit is okay, but excessive amounts can actually worsen brain fog.
So everything in moderation.
Exactly. And of course, we have to remember hydration.
Right.
The brain is mostly water, so staying properly hydrated is crucial.
Okay, so that's not just about drinking enough water, but also avoiding things that dehydrate us.
Right, like sugary drinks. Those can actually dehydrate you.
So water is really the way to go.
It really is the best choice.
All right, we've talked about sleep, we've talked about food. Now let's move on to habit number 3, which is exercise.
Yes, exercise.
It seems pretty intuitive that moving our bodies is good for us, but like, how does exercise actually sharpen our minds?
Well, when you exercise, your heart rate goes up, and that increases blood flow to your brain.
Okay.
And that blood carries oxygen and nutrients that your brain needs to function.
So it's like giving your brain a fresh supply of like premium fuel.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
And then there's these amazing things called neurotrophic factors. And one in particular is called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
That's a mouthful. What is that?
It's basically like fertilizer for your brain.
Okay, I like that analogy.
It helps to grow new brain cells. It strengthens the connections between existing brain cells, and it even protects against neurodegeneration.
So we're literally building a stronger, more resilient brain by exercise.
Exactly. It's like a workout for your brain as well as your body.
And the article talked about some specific cognitive benefits of exercise, right?
Yeah, tons of studies have shown that regular physical activity can improve memory, attention span, those executive functions like planning and decision making.
And it can boost our mood, which is huge for mental clarity.
Absolutely. When you feel good, you think more clearly.
So what kind of exercise are we talking about here?
Honestly, the best exercise is the one you enjoy and can stick with.
So it doesn't have to be like running a marathon or anything crazy like that?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
It could be walking, jogging, swimming, dancing, yoga, strength training, whatever you like to do.
And how much do we need to do to see those benefits?
The article recommends aiming for at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise most days of the week.
Okay. And that doesn't have to be all at once, right?
Nope. You can break it up throughout the day if that works better for you.
Okay, that's good to know. So I know a lot of people struggle with making exercise a regular habit.
Yeah, me too.
What are some tips?
So first, schedule it in your calendar like you would any other important appointment.
Okay, so treat it like a non-negotiable thing.
Exactly.
What else?
Find a workout buddy. It's way more fun and motivating to exercise with a friend.
That's a good idea.
And make it convenient. Choose activities you can easily fit into your schedule and that are close to home or work.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then start small and gradually increase the intensity and duration of your workouts.
So don't try to do too much too soon.
Exactly. And most importantly, listen to your body and don't push yourself too hard.
Okay, so we've gotten our bodies moving. Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about habit number 4, which is mindfulness.
Yes, mindfulness. This is so crucial in our busy, always-on world.
So what is mindfulness exactly?
Well, the article defines it as the ability to be fully present in the current moment without judgment.
Okay, so how does that actually work in practice?
Well, mindfulness techniques, like meditation, help you train your attention and reduce mind wandering.
So you're not constantly getting distracted by thoughts about the past or the future.
Right. It's about focusing on the here and now.
And how does that help with brain fog?
Well, when your mind is constantly jumping around, it can be really hard to focus and think clearly.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
But when you practice mindfulness, you learn to observe your thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them.
Okay.
It's like creating space in your mind, which can lead to greater clarity and focus.
So what are some specific mindfulness techniques we could try?
One simple one is breath awareness, just focusing on your breath as it comes in and out.
Okay.
Another is a body scan, where you bring your attention to different parts of your body and notice any sensations.
And that helps with what?
It helps you become more aware of your body and how it feels, which can be really grounding. You can also try walking meditation, where you pay attention to the sensations of walking, or mindful eating, where you really savor each bite of food.
And then there are guided meditations too, right?
Yes, those can be really helpful, especially if you're new to meditation. There are tons of apps and websites that offer guided meditations.
So how much time do we need to dedicate to mindfulness to see benefits?
The good news is that even just a few minutes a day can make a
Like,
difference.
that's not too bad.
Even 5 or 10 minutes of mindfulness practice can help reduce stress, improve focus, and enhance emotional regulation.
All right, so that's mindfulness. Let's move on to habit number 5, which is staying hydrated.
Yes, hydration. We touched on this earlier with nutrition, but it's so important it deserves its own spotlight.
It's amazing how something as simple as water can have such a huge impact on our brain function.
Right. And the article really emphasizes that even mild dehydration can significantly impair cognitive function.
So remind us, like, what exactly is water doing in our brains?
It's involved in tons of crucial processes, like transporting nutrients, removing waste products, and facilitating communication between brain cells.
It's like the essential lubricant that keeps everything running smoothly.
Exactly.
Okay, so what happens when we're dehydrated? How does that show up as brain fog?
Well, when you're dehydrated, your brain has to work harder to do its job, which can lead to fatigue, difficulty concentrating, memory problems, and headaches.
All the hallmarks of brain fog.
Exactly.
And I think what's scary is that chronic dehydration can potentially have long-term negative effects on our cognitive health.
Yes, that's something to be mindful of.
So beyond just drinking more water, which I know can be hard for some people,
Uh,
what are some other tips for staying hydrated?
Well, the article suggests carrying a water bottle with you as a visual reminder to drink regularly.
Okay, good tip.
You can also set reminders on your phone or use a water tracking app.
Those are helpful. What else?
Make a point to drink a glass of water before each meal. That can help you stay hydrated and feel fuller. And if plain water gets boring, you can infuse it with fruits or veggies like lemon, lime, cucumber, or berries.
That's a good idea.
And remember, you can also get hydration from water-rich foods like watermelon and cucumbers.
Oh, yeah, those are good ones.
So it's about finding what works for you and making hydration a priority.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Let's move on to habit number 6, which is challenging your mind regularly.
Yes, this is all about keeping your brain engaged and active.
So how does that actually help?
Well, the article talks about this concept called neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to change and adapt throughout our lives.
So our brains aren't just static, they're constantly evolving.
Exactly. And when you challenge your mind with new things, you actually stimulate the growth of new brain cells and strengthen the connections between existing ones.
That's like a workout for our brains.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And on the flip side, if you don't challenge your mind, those connections can weaken, and you may become more susceptible to cognitive decline and brain fog.
So what are some good ways to challenge our minds?
Well, the article recommends a wide range of activities like puzzles and brain games.
Okay, like Sudoku and crosswords and stuff like that.
Exactly. Those are great for exercising your cognitive skills.
What else?
Learning a new language, playing a musical instrument, reading regularly, taking up a creative hobby like painting or writing, learning new skills, even just engaging in stimulating conversations.
So really, anything that gets us thinking and learning.
Exactly. The key is to find activities that are both challenging and enjoyable for you.
And I think it's important to mix things up, right? Like not just doing the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely. The more variety you can incorporate into your mental stimulation, the better.
All right, and now we're on to the final habit, number 7, which is managing stress effectively.
Yes, stress is a huge contributor to brain fog.
Okay, so how does that work? Like, what's the connection between stress and brain fog?
Well, when you're stressed, your body releases a hormone called cortisol. And if you're chronically stressed, those cortisol levels stay elevated.
Mhm.
And over time, high cortisol levels can actually damage brain cells and impair memory.
Wow, that's not good.
Nope. And it can become a vicious cycle because stress can also disrupt sleep and mood, both of which can worsen brain fog.
So it's really important to find healthy ways to manage stress.
Absolutely. And the article offers a whole bunch of strategies for doing that.
Like what?
Well, things like relaxation techniques, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, guided imagery.
Okay, those sound pretty relaxing.
They are. And mindfulness and meditation, which we talked about earlier, are also really effective for managing stress.
Okay.
The article also recommends time management strategies like prioritizing tasks, breaking down big projects into smaller steps, setting realistic deadlines.
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of us struggle with.
It can be tough, but it's so important.
And what about like setting boundaries and saying no to things?
That's crucial too. Don't overcommit yourself. Learn to say no when you need to.
It's all about protecting your time and energy. And of course, having a good support system like friends and family or a therapist if you need one.
Yes. Social support is so important for managing stress.
And let's not forget the things we talked about earlier: exercise, sleep, good nutrition.
Those are all crucial components of a healthy stress management plan.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the 7 daily habits for sharpening our minds, what's the main message we want people to take away?
That brain fog isn't something you just have to live with.
Right.
It's often a result of lifestyle factors that you can control.
Exactly. And the article stresses that consistency is key.
Yeah, it's not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about incorporating these habits into your daily routine gradually and consistently.
And it's not about being perfect, it's about making progress.
Exactly. Start small, pick 1 or 2 habits that resonate with you, and build from there.
So here's the thing. By making these simple everyday changes, you can dramatically improve your mental clarity, your energy levels, your overall cognitive well-being.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your mental health and creating a life that feels sharp, focused, and energized.
And on that note, we want to leave you with this. Of the 7 habits we've discussed today, which one feels the most impactful to you, and what's one small step you can take today to start implementing it?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, share your insights on our social media.
And until next time, keep those minds sharp.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Bye for now.